So yes, let's get into this. Hello, Debbie. We see you've joined us too. Good to see you here. First off, let's you have anything right away, Rania, or
No, we just introduced
okay.
Robin, so
Yep,
after
go
for the
ahead then.
editing, no, you do that. It's fine. I
Ah,
come back.
we haven't scripted this. We are doing unscripted. So thank you. First off, thank you so much, Robin, and everyone for joining us. But thank you so much, Robin. We understand your schedule is quite busy as a famous best-selling author around the world. And so we really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
you taking the time to join us for this 45 minutes to an hour. Um, I'm not sure which one it is. Is it an hour, Rania? Usually Rania runs all this stuff. Okay. Well, as long as we need, we're gonna have throw some questions and have a conversational tone and relaxed tone with this. So you've written Robin, you've written a great book, and we all read it. Rania and I loved it, and we wanted to jump on and discuss it with you. So it looks like we have our first question here.
And she says
Uh,
hi.
oh, hi, Debbie. Okay, great.
Hi, Debbie.
Um,
So,
So I'm mostly interested. I mean, everyone has a different, perhaps a different angle they would want to come at you with. One of them I would love to know is somewhat of your writing process. If you don't mind elaborating a bit, for instance, simple things like do you outline or do you just type chapter one and say where are we going today, or do a bit of both? Do you take do you do a first draft and in like a month or two and then or do you take 6 months to do it? Like I really don't know much about your even though we
okay.
spent a week in Greece together, it wasn't you weren't there for me, you were there for everyone. And so I didn't really sit down and just
Right.
drill these questions at you. So I mean I'd love to know, how did you write Strangers in the Villa, or did you just does John write it and then
Oh, I
so
wish.
anyway.
No, that wouldn't, I don't know if that would be very good if
Oh,
John.
so yeah, speak on that at will, and if you
Yeah.
wouldn't mind, let us know a bit about what you do.
Yeah, so when I started writing, I wrote sort of romantic comedies, and I wrote them so differently, which is sort of interesting that my thriller process is so different than writing the lighter fiction that I did, where I just sat down and let it fly, and it kind of just went where the story went. But I feel with thrillers, because of the mystery element and the clues, and I feel like thriller readers are very sophisticated in that they have read a lot of thrillers and they figure things out. So you're always trying to be one step ahead of them. And it's I find it really a challenge, but it like also a really fun challenge for me. So I do outline, but very roughly. So as far as the plot goes, I kind of use screenplay structure and just hit those major beats. So, with the you've got your inciting incident and your first turning point, and then your midpoint, your next point. So I know those major points, and then I write to each point in and try to get there in the most interesting and engaging way possible. So, it's then you don't have like, oh, I've got 350 blank pages ahead of me that I've got to fill. I like to go, okay, I've got to write to page 30 and get us to this point where this is going to happen in the most interesting way. So, yeah, so that's what I do. And then I have started, depending on the book, I've started doing a little bit more, plotting, clues, and stuff like that. And I actually write now always using a calendar. So
Mm.
I actually have a calendar. I pick whatever year the book is set in, if it's present or, last year or something. And I put all the action on dates, because I've had a book where I wrote the whole book and then I had a copy editor go in and go, well, wait a minute, if this happened here and that happened here, it doesn't line up, right? So, especially with
Mm.
multiple perspectives. So I plot every scene, I put it just in Excel, I put it in a calendar so that I know when everything happened and what everybody's up to on each day. And I find that really helpful as well.
That's a great
Wow, that is
idea.
that is brilliant because a lot of times people do get that wrong, and it's important not to. And readers will catch that. Wait, it
They
was
really do.
Tuesday, and you just said 2 days later, and now it's Friday. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't, or that's supposed to be Thursday or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
heard of anyone putting it into a calendar. That's brilliant. I like that.
Yeah, just
Rania,
down to Excel, and you can pick any year and any month, right? So you can
yeah.
just go and say, I want a calendar for 2024, right? If that's when it's taking place, and pick your month, and then I just do like just a little short. I'm sure if I use Scrivener or something, do you know that software that people
Hmm.
use? It might have that embedded, but I don't want to learn something new, so I just go Word to Excel, and yeah.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Rania, you were going to say something?
I know that it's just a brilliant idea. And
Ah,
I remember that in my book, The Wife in Ruins, I remember that I did something that it was supposed to be another day. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What am I doing here? And then I went back and I had to fix it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it helps to do that, I think, especially with multiple perspectives, because if you have two characters doing different things on the same day, you kind of need to keep track of that, right? So it's a good tool.
well, it works because what you did, it worked.
Oh, good. Thank
Well,
you. Thank
because
you.
like when I'm reading, I'm I'm perhaps a little unlike everyone else in the sense that I'm also an editor. So when I'm reading, I'm not
Yes.
editing. I'm not editing your work. There's nothing to edit. It was perfect. Your publisher has all the right people. But when I'm reading, I am I'd say subconsciously noticing these details,
For
and
sure.
I'm looking for them, but not to get anybody, just because I like to
Right.
be detail oriented, and
Yeah.
nothing was out of place. So yeah, it was
Oh, good.
perfect.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you know,
and
my
if it was, I wouldn't tell you here anyway. It would be a private thing, but no,
well,
it was brilliant.
thank you. And my first reader always is my husband John that you and Rania met, you two met. And he is the detail guy. Like he will
Mm.
catch, that's just his thing. Like he's not really a creative person, but he's a very analytical person and he will catch anything that doesn't jive. So, he's really helpful that way. But now I think with this calendar, but he'll catch different things like things about computers or like software things and technology things and anything that so by the time I send it to my editor it's been thoroughly vetted by him.
Very nice, very nice. Has anyone got anyone want to jump in with a question? If not, we'll just
Well,
continue. It's no problem. Oh,
I wanted to say that I thought about the ending a lot, and I thought it was just amazing how you get him to poisoning himself.
So everyone's read, no spoil, obviously we can have spoilers, that's makes it.
Yeah, I assume that everyone has read it, right? I mean, but I loved yeah, I loved that part, like how she managed to make him do that.
It was pretty brutal, but I
Yeah,
wrote I wrote a real theme with this book, and the theme was what is forgivable.
yeah, exactly.
So she was able to forgive the affair, and she's like, okay, I'll work through that. And then what he did to her was absolutely, she's a
But not
defensive
just to her, though. I mean,
to
everything that
her.
he
Well, that's
did, everything that he did, and before that, I was actually like, did he do something to the girl or didn't he? Right? Because he was
yeah,
pretending that he never did, and I was actually starting to believe that he didn't do anything wrong, and then he admitted everything. I was like, damn! And then she made
yeah,
him eat the
yeah.
like, ugh.
And you know who inspired that kind of sense of him thinking he did nothing wrong when he did was Prince Andrew.
Yeah. Oh, I was actually
Right?
going to ask you
I
that.
remember I remember seeing that interview with him on the BBC, and then they actually did a movie about that process, about the journalist talking to him, and he had just convinced himself. He just convinced himself that he wasn't a bad guy, right? And I just kept thinking, wow, that kind of delusion that happens with people, right? They can lie to themselves and convince themselves and create this story that it could have been worse. And if it wasn't me, it would have been someone else. And so I wanted Kurz to like really in his own internal dialogue think that he was, a decent guy until the very end when he had to admit.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I liked it. I liked it
Thank
really.
you. Awesome. Thanks so much.
I
um,
have a quick question.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Like, I absolutely loved the book. I could not stop reading. It was just amazing. But like, what kind of research do you put in? Like, I mean, that these things grow behind the house and that you can't eat them, or if you eat them, like
Yeah.
you have to, like what is your research like? How do you get to that?
So, you know what? There was a very famous case in Australia that some of you might be familiar with about a woman who had her ex-husband's family, so her former in-laws, over for dinner, and she made them beef Wellington and she killed them all. So it's quite current. It's quite a current case. And I guess because my husband's Australian, I kind of know what's going on there. And I don't know if it was the same kind of mushrooms, but I was like, wow, that's really sneaky. And I just was like Googling what kind of poisonous mushrooms grow in Spain, and they grow near oak trees. And it's so funny because I've had a few Australian readers like, I figured it out the minute you said poisonous mushrooms because of this case or whatever. Right? I was like, there's one mention. But yeah, so that was I listened to the podcast. It's called The Mushroom Cook, and it's quite
Oh
interesting.
well.
She's also kind of convinced herself, no, no, but I mean, so her kids were at the dinner, her in-laws were there and her kids, and she's like, but my kids don't like mushrooms, so I scraped all the mushrooms off theirs. So the kids were fine, but then all her in-laws, were poisoned. I think one of them survived, but like she
Wow.
killed them. It's crazy. So that was I was like, yeah, that would be something interesting to explore that Curtis is just like, let's just wipe them out.
Wow.
But are you never afraid that someone's going, I don't know, like when they find your Google history, like they're gonna
Was thinking
wonder
about
what,
that.
like, what,
Oh,
what's
yeah, I
going on
know.
with that woman, or like, I don't know.
I think if they look at my career, I'm safe. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite a Google history. Yeah, it's quite a Google history. And with all the like the sex ring pedophile stuff. I mean, I wrote this book like 2 years ago. I didn't know that it was going to be so top of mind right now. Like I wrote it more when the Diddy stuff, the P. Diddy stuff was in the news and what was going on there. And I mean, I think everybody knew there was this Epstein stuff going on, but it was sort of less of a news story. And now it's so forefront. And then the book came out, and so everybody's like, oh, it's so timely. But that was just a coincidence, really.
How did you come up with the idea?
For Strangers in the Villa?
Yeah.
Okay, so and Rania and Jonas might already know this story, but I went on a trip to Spain about 3 years ago for my husband's 50th birthday, and we met a bunch of his Australian friends. They met us there, and we stayed in Cadaqués, the town where where the book is set, and it's so beautiful. It's amazing. And one day we had lunch with their friends, this couple from Sydney who had moved to the Costa Brava, and they were living in this very beautiful new house outside up above La Franque, which is another little town on the coast. And everyone was like, they just gave everything up and moved together, and they live alone in this beautiful house in Spain, just the two of them, and they don't speak the language and they don't have any friends. Isn't it wonderful? I was like, sounds like a good place for a thriller to me, like having a couple that are so isolated and cut off, just the two of them. And then I started expanding and thinking, so imagine the marriage is in trouble, and they came here. I knew I wanted there to be some, discord in the relationship that they're trying to fix by just separating themselves um, from all the mess, everything that happened back in New York. So and then I thought, wow, they'd be so lonely and isolated that when somebody showed up, they would open the door. So, yeah, they were like, strangers in their own marriage, and that's why they opened the door and let these new people in, and turned out to be a big mistake for some of them.
Remember, now that you're talking about it, I remember like that you had all this process in your head that you have to bring like one or two or three ideas, and this one was your best one. So I'm wondering if you're working in something else right now that it was on the back of your head that you didn't have the time to write it.
Oh, I am working on something else right now. So I have a two-book contract. So Strangers in the Villa was book one, and now I have another book that will come out in 2028. And so the process for me with my publisher is that I write, it's very short. I basically write the back cover blurb for an idea, right? And it's sort of it's not an outline. I don't do an outline. I just sort of sell it like it's on the back cover of a book. And I just kind of sell a pitch. So that's what I send to my editor. So I did that for the next book, which is, I'm only kind of getting started, but I can tell you a little bit if you want.
Yes.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So in off the coast of Vancouver, there are several islands that are privately owned. So years ago, uh, it was possible for like 30 people to get together and buy an island, and that became your island. So there are three that I know of. Only knew of one, and then every time I tell somebody this idea, they mention another private island. So the family, the 30 to 50 families own this island, and then they pass it down to the next generation and the next generation. You can't buy them, you can't go there. They're private. So the story is one of these private islands, a property and a ownership share comes up for sale, and this never happens. And this new family's like, "Oh, lucky us! We can buy in and get a piece of this, exclusive property, and we're so lucky, and we've made it. We're in with these, rich, cool, wonderful people." But of course, the island has all these secrets, and this new family gets more than they bargained for, I will say.
Oh, that's a very nice idea. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
2028. Geez.
Wait, wait. I know I'm slow and I'm getting slower.
So
Oh,
I know Jonas is like, what does it take you 2 weeks to write a book?
oh, well, yeah, well, just the first draft.
First draft. Okay.
But there's lots of rewrites and edits and
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
And
never addressed that.
my agent has a book right now. I'm just finishing another, and but nothing's coming out until like October.
Right.
My
Okay.
next one, and then one after that will be like next summer. I'm a bit quicker because some of them I self-publish. I don't go with
Right.
a publisher every time.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but
And I never answered your question you said about drafts. I don't do the messy first draft like a lot of people. I know that everyone says just bang it out and get a first draft done. And I know so many people that works for, but I edit as I go. I just go back and I go back and I go back. So
Mm.
that's why it's slow, I think. But then when it's done, it's actually in really good shape. Like it's basically done. So because I've edited it all the way along. So then when I've got that done, I will try to leave it if I have time, leave it for as long as possible to kind of clear the brain, and then I'll read through it and make a few adjustments. But yeah, so it's kind of laborious in the moment, but just that's what works for me.
And do you find that you don't get caught spending too many days of the revisions and the editing without doing new words? Or are you disciplined enough to make sure that new words are happening, say, weekly or daily? Or how do you feel that balance is?
Such a good question, but you know what's so funny? I don't measure anything. I don't measure my words. I don't measure my time. I just go with what feels that day. So some days I'm like, oh, it's a writing day, and I can write, however many pages, and it's like really flowing and I'm really into it. And then other days I'll sit down and I'll try to write and I'm like, I can't write, it's an editing day. So then I go back and
Oh.
for a while there I was trying to like keep a word count because I saw so many people like setting goals, and I'm like, you know what, it always gets done. I have a lot of time now because I'm on this book every other year. So I'm just kind of going with what I feel in the moment creatively. And I'm lucky enough to have the time now to do that.
Good, good.
Yeah,
Well,
everybody's so
and
different. So
yeah. And if you're in that situation, I mean, I wouldn't measure the words either.
yeah, like I tried,
Yeah.
and then I just, try, and then I'm like, for me, if I have a goal and I'm not reaching it, and then I'm pushing for it, then it's not very good anyway. And the next day I have to go and delete them all. So like,
Mm.
I just do it when it feels good and it's flowing and it's enjoyable.
And this is about you in your book, but I just want to say in my defense that the reason I write my drafts so fast is because I believe it affects the pace. If
Mm.
I've caught myself writing something that many years ago that took me 5, 6, 7 months to do a first draft. And when I was rereading it, I was so bored. And I was like,
Ah,
this is not good. I have to write something else. Then I
right.
decided to just pound it out as fast as I humanly could, and I wrote a book in 6 days.
Oh my God.
I did over 10,000 words every single day. So I got to 65, 70,000 words. It was the fastest paced book I've ever written. It blew me away. It became one of my best sellers when it
Oh,
finally got rewritten and re-edited and so on.
right,
I
right.
realized that the only thing I can do is write as fast as I humanly can every hour. I even warn Rania, I say, hey, on Monday, I'm starting a new book on chapter one. For the next 2 weeks, I'm out. Like I'm out of
I,
society. I'm out. I'll just be tapping away like a madman. And then I just believe that affects my pace.
that's so
So
interesting.
I
I have a
cannot go
question.
slow.
I have a question. Does it not affect like you physically,
Yep, it
right? Like
does
that?
everything. Mentally,
I bet.
stress, anxiety,
No,
everything. I'm completely that's why I warn my family and everyone around me. I'm out at the factory and I'll be back when I'm done work.
right.
It's like a hibernation thing. Um,
Yeah. But
but
like
this is
I get such physical pain when
mm,
I am spending so much time, like my shoulders, my hips. I have a stand-up desk. I sit down, I stretch, whatever, and I'm just absolutely destroyed.
I'm the
So
same.
pushing
I'm the
through.
same.
Yeah.
But I get bored with a book on the third week. I can't even imagine. But the editing is intense, and they're not all good
Right.
words, like you said. Sometimes I write
Yeah.
5,000 words, 2,000 have to be deleted,
Right.
and the other three have to be rewritten. But the point for me is the book's
Yeah.
done. I've got 90,000 words now. I can spend 6 months playing with it. So that's
Right.
anyway. That's why
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Process.
why I've taken on that path. As you
Yeah.
said, what works for you wouldn't work for me, but that wouldn't work for you. So it's
Yeah.
everyone's different. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fascinating.
I have a
So
question.
yes, back.
Robyn, how long does it take you to write a book?
So I can write a book faster if I have to. I think I
Mhm.
wrote The Haters in like 7 months, but that's fast for me. Like that was too fast and it really burned me out. I was like gonna retire. I was like gonna quit at the business. Like
Oh,
I just
geez.
was so drained and then you have to publish, right? And go through all that and I just was like I don't want to do it anymore. I've lost the love for it. And then I realized no, it's that I love writing, but I love writing at a pace where I can still um have a life and not feel, when I was writing that on that deadline, I did force myself to write like no matter what. I just like I got to get the chapters down. I got to get this done, and it just was very, very taxing. So now I'm going to take, I think a year, might be a year for a book. Yeah. And I like that. I know I can do it. Like Strangers in a Villa, I've been very busy doing promotion. I did a big bookstore event yesterday. I've got another one today, talking to you guys. Then I just have the time and I know that I can go back to the new book and when I'm done with this. Otherwise, like if I'm on a tight deadline, then I'm talking to you guys, then I'm writing a chapter and then I'm running downtown to a bookstore and I'm just trying to take care of myself a bit as I get older.
Right. The first book I read of yours was The Drowning Woman, and that just hooked me with your books.
Thank
I
you.
really love that book.
Thank you. Yeah, that one, can I tell you guys some Drowning Woman news?
Yes.
Well, it's early news, but
Oh,
it just got literally last week got optioned by Sony Studios with Brittany Snow attached to play Lee. So it's still a long road, right? It's still a long road, but it's so exciting. So
Yes, I heard
nice.
about
That's
that.
fantastic.
yeah,
That's
thank
awesome.
you. Yeah, like I think Thursday we had the call. So very recent news and I'm really happy about it. That we had the call with these two execs and they were so nice and they really got the book and Brittany's so passionate about it. It was all her championing it, and yeah, it was great.
It's a
Great.
fantastic book, and it was my first one of yours too.
Thank you. Thank you
Mine
so
as
much.
well. And then I read The Haters and now Strangers.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I want to read the arrangement. I still haven't got to that one, but I've got
Oh,
it
the
on my
range was
device.
fun. A lot of people like the arrangement.
Yeah, I've heard great things about it. Haven't got to it yet.
Thanks.
So do you listen to music when you type? Do you have a process like you have to listen to something or a ritual or something?
Quiet. I have to have total quiet. Yeah. Like if there's construction in the neighborhood and they're playing music, I lose my mind. And someone said, "Oh, you have to get noise canceling headphones." And I'm like, "No, they have to be quiet." Um, yeah, no, I can't. I can't. And I know a lot of people do a soundtrack for their books and but I feel like I get so easily distracted that I would be listening to the music and not focusing. What about you?
Oh, I listen to music depending on the scene.
Yeah, I've
I,
heard that.
I have
That's
some instrumental music that I play, like cinematic, and usually because I write really dark and scary, I have
yeah.
soundtracks from the Silent Hill that I like. And when I have a scene with a lot of emotion and anger, I have my metal.
You have your what?
My
Oh,
metal. I
metal, you
listen to, yeah,
meant.
yeah.
Yeah.
I listen to Falling in Reverse, so he's a very angry dude. So when he's rah, rah,
I remember at the retreat that
yeah,
Charlie was a big fan.
yeah, yeah,
I remember you guys talking about them. That's so funny. I know I love that in theory that, set having a background that, informs the scene, and I think that's so cool, but I just can't keep my brain on task.
yeah, I
When
get that.
Rania and I are in different floors in our house,
Yeah.
I have a separate office floor here. I'm in, and she's upstairs. When I hear some heavy thumping and screaming through the floors, I know she's writing a very dangerous, dark scene. No, but I can hear it. It's just vibrating the ceiling over here sometimes.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me because I'm
You
playing
listen to
music while I
music
write.
too?
Yep. Yeah. I
Yeah.
listen to instrumental metal.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
can't
wow.
do vocal.
Instrumental metal is a thing?
Yeah. I've got
Oh,
Metallica instrumental and I've got
oh.
lots. Yeah.
I think like instrumental I might be able to do, but like definitely no lyrics, but instrumental maybe, but I'm so used to now just kind of silence that
Yeah. Definitely no lyrics. I agree.
yeah,
Um,
that would be
but
hard.
and then there's some days when I listen to some instrumental Beatles or instrumental Billy Joel, some jazz. I love a good saxophone or a horn while I'm writing. It's very
Yeah.
calming. So yeah, it all depends on the mood, the scene, the day, whatever.
Yeah. Even
But
when I'm plotting or thinking about the book, I take my dogs for walks and I often listen to a podcast or music. But if I need to work out a scene or work out an idea, I have to have nothing. Sometimes I can think a bit through music, but usually I'm like, okay, just don't take your headphones at all and just walk. And I get so much done. I get so
nice.
much like clarity by just walking in silence. And it's like a lot of people get ideas in the shower because they say it's sensory deprivation. You're just in there. You can't, you can just think. And I did a panel a few years ago with a writer called Robert Rottenberg. Do you know him, Jonas?
No.
He's Canadian. He does like spy stuff. And he said he lies on the floor and puts a towel over his head. And
Hmm.
that's how he brainstorms because you're in sensory deprivation. So he's just, that's how he works things out. And I'm like, well, how genius. I'm going to try it, but I never have.
I have an odd place where I brainstorm when the lights go out and I'm laying in bed and I'm just laying there.
Instead of sleeping, me too.
Yeah, but it's what happens is as I start to walk through the scenes, I fall asleep.
Ah,
But I
oh,
end up waking up with ideas. And I've woken up, for instance, my book called A Murder in Time. The whole book came to me in a dream, the whole
oh
thing.
my God.
So I woke up, made a few notes, wrote it, And every ounce of it came from a dream, from the notes I made from the dream. So when I go to sleep, I'm thinking up, okay, so we're gonna have
Yeah.
this character do this, and then I'm off. And when I wake up, I
Okay.
have crazy ideas.
Or you
But
just
that's
wake me
mine.
up.
I'm, well, I'm sorry.
Or you just wake me up like the woman in the hood, like Rania, Rania, I know how it ends.
Oh
Oh
my
yeah,
God. That's
yeah.
awesome. You can tell some. I sometimes, as I'm falling asleep, I'll come up with like a scene or a line, and then I don't want to forget. I'm always worried I'll forget it. So then I grab my phone and I leave a voice memo, and I will have to whisper because John's sleeping, and I'm like,
Mm.
okay, she kills the person at the cabin. And then I wake up in the morning with this voice memo about some murderous secret, and it's quite fun.
That's great. Yeah, yeah. I used to do the voice memo thing, but I have it on my phone and then I
Yeah.
transcribe them out. But yeah, that's a good
I
idea. I just wake Rania up.
Yeah, there, I could try that, but I don't think it'd be appreciated.
So yeah. Um, so back to that other point. I'd like to just bring it up as a male reader. I don't know if this matters, but with Curtis, I struggled a lot with Curtis. Not like the writing or the story. You did excellent. I struggled with his decisions, like to come up with an affair for this Colette woman and then, wait, there is no Colette. Wait, what else is being revealed? Oh, so why would he make up an affair? I was like, oh my goodness, what an idiot. What a horrible thing to do in a relationship, right? And then to find out he was protecting Lyric. And I was like, what a nice guy. Like, you really took me on a roller coaster. And he actually put his arm around her like a fatherly gesture. And I thought, well, that's gentle and kind, but be careful, dude. Like, in this
Yeah.
scene, we got, then I find out there's more. Oh, and he calls Wes Weast. I forget the guy's exact name. Is
West,
it? Yeah,
West.
thank you.
Yeah.
And the threat comes through, and I'm like, who the heck was he dealing with? So your reveals were fantastic. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing all this up is as I struggle with Curtis, and I don't know, we'll call it a rather large mistake he makes. And then he's looking at the plate of food with the mushrooms, and he knows, as Shane, I hope I pronounced that right, Shane.
No,
No, I'm sorry.
Cheyenne.
Diane, thank you. Um, has pointed out that you got him to eat that. In that dilemma, that moment when she's explaining that she's going to anonymously out everything, um, um, going back to think of the names, I'm very bad with names. Bianca,
Yeah.
got it. Bianca says that, and he's got to say, "Geez, do
Or
I
sorry,
do I?"
Sydney says.
Sydney,
Sydney
right? Because
Curtis,
Bianca's the with
the Aussie.
Damien.
With
Big
Damien. Yeah.
Aussie.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sydney. So he's got to decide, geez, do I get arrested? Do I face the music? What will Wes do? And if Wes doesn't take me out, I'm going to end up in jail. And with that over my head, I'll end up getting a shiv in the shower or
Yes.
um, my life is, I mean, I'm going this direction or I just eat this meal.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in that scene, Randy and I read together. We have a couple of lazy boys here, and we just sit and we read together. And I was reading that scene, and I was like, oh, and I stop and I look at she'd already finished it, and I was like, oh my
Mm.
goodness, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna face the music or is he gonna eat it? And I was saying to her, I wouldn't have made that mistake, but I
Right.
wouldn't eat the food.
You wouldn't.
I wouldn't have eaten it. I couldn't have possibly, but then of course I wouldn't have made that mistake with lyrics. So
Of course.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
have been in that situation. Having said that, I remember saying her, I wouldn't have eaten it. I wouldn't have. I
You
couldn't
wouldn't
even
have.
imagine. I would face the music or I'd run or I don't know. But
Yeah.
suicide in that way, with that much pain, what he already heard Damien going through.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then he did. Well, actually, we didn't know right away. I think it's implied or inferred, and then she leaves, and then she's reading how there's two people found at the house, and one was alive, still alive, or whatever. At that
Yeah.
point, I thought the one was still alive. I thought it was the guy in the basement,
No.
Curtis. And then you flipped it on me, and I was like, how the heck did Damien stay alive that long? Anyway, but of course, it was
Right.
brilliant. So
Oh, yeah.
anyway, I just thought, what a scene. But maybe, I don't know if it's a gender thing, but maybe as a male reader
Yeah.
standing across the counter from Sydney, I wouldn't have eaten it.
Yeah. I felt like it's,
But
I watched,
but I'm not
sorry,
saying you did the wrong thing.
yeah, no, no, no. I
No, I'm
just,
not. Yeah,
yeah, I get it. I understand. I think do you guys watch Industry?
I don't
What?
know it.
Industry? It's a really good show. It is British and American. And there's a scene in there where a guy gets caught in a similar situation, and the way they portrayed that scene, I saw it after I wrote the book, where this guy is like, he's got an ex-wife, he's got kids, and he's got a public, he's a big business guy. People know him, and I remember thinking that is a that is a moment where you would take your own life. Like the amount of shame and very horrible way for Curtis to go out, deserved, I think. But the amount of shame, the danger you would be in if you were in jail, like you said, like I just
Mm.
felt to me like he's a coward. He's a coward all along, right? So I think
Hmm.
he wouldn't be brave enough to face what he would have to go through. And, he had some ego to him and
Yeah, no, and you're right about the characterization of Curtis. Oh yeah, you nailed that. Um, Geez, what a dilemma. So just don't do those kinds of wrongs, and we're good to go.
exactly.
Like
Well, that's the
that's
thing, and I think a person that would never do that has much more moral fiber to them than they might say, okay, I won't eat it. I'll take my medicine, and go through the courts and whatever. But if you already have crossed that line, you're such a piece of garbage,
Mhm.
then, you know, I think tapping out kind of makes sense for him.
Yeah.
In the most cruel way.
Yeah, yeah. And he did love Sydney, he did love her. And he's like, I'll destroy her. Like if he went through a trial and everything, it would be public and it would destroy her and her reputation and the rest of her life. And so I think part of it was, okay, this is something I sort of owe her, maybe.
Yeah, and she was
Yeah,
a
I felt like
lawyer
he did
too.
it for her too. Like he was like,
Yeah.
if I do this for her, this is the only thing left for me to do for her, so I cannot say no. I leave
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. She's asked me one last thing after I've put her through all this.
It's an easy way out for him, and it's his last thing to do for her. So that's what I thought.
Yeah. But
Um,
we were
So
just in Mexico and I had like a mild case of food poisoning and I was like, no. So I definitely wouldn't eat them.
I
in my
love the
opinion, I thought, in his mind, he was probably like, yeah, I'll probably survive this though, that in his mind,
Right,
I'll eat
maybe.
it, but it can't be that bad for me, maybe, maybe.
Right. Yeah, possible. Possible.
I definitely loved the breakdown of the Aussie relationship, Bianca and Damien.
Ah,
They looked together, they had it all going on until the dance that night. They looked like they had the same goals. You made it expert, and then we start to see them. Damien just wants the money, and
yeah.
the arguments right up to the end was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, that tension was it was simmering, and then it was boiling, and then it was hot. So it was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
definitely.
money does that to people, right? If one of
Yep.
you is more focused on the money and one of you is like, all I care about is the payback. So yeah,
Yep.
they did have different goals at the end.
Yep.
But I also felt like it wasn't all about just the money for Damien at the end. It was also for him starting something new, a new life. He experienced a
Mm,
life in Spain that he hadn't experienced before in the States, and he did it all for Bianca and her um desire for revenge. And he went along with it because they were together for so long
yeah,
when he started when they were younger, and then he started to realize that he had maybe a chance of a different sort of life, and that he actually really wasn't into all the revenge stuff, like had to stop somewhere. And I actually started to like him for some reason
Mm.
eventually because he was seeing things from a
right.
different perspective instead of just clinging to the revenge and all the things that went wrong
Yeah.
back in the States.
I like that you say that. The one thing I've heard so often with this book is like the shifting allegiances you have with characters, right? It's like, oh, I hate them all. I like this one. I don't like that one. Oh, now I like this one, and everybody's changing who they're rooting for, which has been kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I actually know a guy just like Damien. I do.
Really?
He came to Italy. It was a somebody I know. He came to Italy, spent 10 days with my family, and
Yeah.
that was it. He wanted to live the European life, and he was going to give up everything. He wasn't even going to go back to Canada where he lives. He
Wow.
was just going to tell his buddies to get rid of everything, and he was going to try and there was a money scheme he was trying to do to get to stay there and live his life. I was like, geez, I know this, Damien.
Yeah,
And
there are people,
everything
I
you,
know people like
yeah,
that too, that are
yeah.
like, yeah,
So
just,
you wrote characters that, in my opinion, they were extremely relatable.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
the other thing is I'm Canadian and I live in Europe. I did the move to Spain, get rid of everything. So that couple was relatable. I just didn't do it under their pretenses, but
Right, right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
everything was so relatable and yeah, it was fantastic.
Oh,
Rania
thank you.
became a stranger in my village, in my village. So then I married her.
Yeah. Yeah, happy end. That's the romance version, Jonas.
Ah, missed that part. You're right. Yeah. Different genre. Moving
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, and Ranias, you said you liked how how Damien wanted to get away to his Greek island.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I'm
where
like,
he
yes,
wanted
you
to
have to
go.
Milos. Yes. I'm
we
like,
we
you didn't
loved
write
that.
it. You went to Milos and you didn't go to Amorgos, so you would say like he wanted to come to Amorgos, not Milos.
I
But
know, but I hadn't been to Mordos when I wrote
I know.
it.
Yeah, that
Which
would have been great. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
We
darn.
loved of course, we live in Greece, so we loved every reference to Greece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need
Every
to have,
moment.
we would love it if you wrote a thriller in a couple of years set in Greece.
I
You'd have to do
know.
research. Come and
I
hang out.
would. Yes, that would be awesome.
I have a question. Did you have any characters in mind, like in faces, when you were writing them? Like Bianca, was she like a Monica Bellucci, like the saying? Like,
Ah, I don't really do that. A lot of people say like who's your dream casting or whatever, and I do a little bit, but not really. They're kind of blurry in my mind. Like, I don't know about you guys, but a question I find really interesting that I've had a couple times is, when you write, do you see it like you're watching a movie? Do you hear it like someone's telling you a story? Or are you in it? And for me, I'm in it. It's like I'm an actor in it. So when I'm writing, I feel like I'm in the character and I'm feeling what they're feeling and I'm looking out through their eyes. So faces tend to be not that clear for me. They're kind of, it's weird. Like I feel, and maybe that's why I'm always in so much pain because someone said, like, I bet if you watch like when I'm writing Damien, I'm gonna be like, and then when I'm writing Sydney, so like your posture changes as you're embodying different characters and stuff like that. So yeah, if I saw it as a movie, I feel like that might be more fun to see it as a movie, but I feel like I'm acting in a movie and I'm trying to feel every feeling and then put that into words. And
I
how
do
about
that, but sometimes I have faces. Sometimes, not
yeah,
every day.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes
sometimes.
like I feel like Jacob Elordi would make a great Damien, but
Ah, see?
he's an Aussie, right? But um yeah, it's a little bit they're a little bit more generic, more blurry for me.
It is hard to actually imagine a face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never do it. I'm more like you, Robin. I never do that. But I'm a little off. I'm not in their head. I'm more in the room watching two characters argue.
Ah,
I'm always in the room when I'm writing. I'm sitting on the couch and
you're
enjoying
the
the
fly on the
But then
tension.
wall.
you watch
Yeah, the fly
faceless
on the wall.
people.
Yes, they're faceless to me when I'm writing. Yeah, absolutely. I've never been able to. I can only see the
Well, it's
human
weird if
head.
you say like you're watching from inside a
Yeah,
room and then you just watch two people without a face arguing. That seems like freaky to me, though.
it's
You're
but I'm
like
not.
entities.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's it's in the mind's eye, and I'm seeing it as I'm typing, but I'm not literally seeing their faces or their bodies or what they're wearing. I just know they're there, and I can see the room very easily when I'm
Wait,
typing.
Oh,
But
oh
anyway,
my
is it
that's
God.
because
Oh my God, Jonas. That's like it might seem crazy, but I could be sitting here watching a show and I can imagine myself, in the scene with them saying, "Oh, I know what's gonna happen. This is crazy. You better
Yeah.
not do that."
Yeah.
you
Totally.
know.
We are 5 more
So,
minutes. Rania?
Jonas, is it because you're writing third person? Or if you wrote first person, you would be inside their heads?
Oh, that's a very good question.
I write both.
I've only ever written first person once in my most recent novel. The novel I'm doing the final revisions on, it's first person. Everything, all 60 books I've written, all third person past tense.
Interesting. Interesting. I change it all the time, but my method remains the same, even if it's first or third. I do third present, I do third past, I do first present, first past. I just every book it just comes to me in a different way. And also I change it because I like to keep it fresh for myself. Like I'm always trying to play with structure and do something a little different each book because I like to keep myself engaged and challenged. So I'm like, oh, I haven't written a book in first person for a while. I'll do that, and it'll be, kind of a new twist on it for me.
Well, that's admirable. I just wrote my first person book and it took me a while and I struggled and it stretched muscles I didn't know I had. And I made so many errors. I would drop into third person by accident and because I'm
Really
so used to it. But yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
it's a lot more editing for me because I've screwed up so many times.
I like first. I like first. I haven't done it for a while actually, but my first few thrillers were first person.
Hmm.
The swap was first person. Trying to think. Yeah. A lot of writers say they prefer to write like a thriller in third to have some distance from all the horrible stuff that's
Hmm.
going on, but that doesn't bother me.
I write first too. I think that
You
if
write
I write
first?
third person, then I'm watching it from the room and I'm
Hmm.
telling, I'm not showing. I'm not good at it.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
realize that I have to be in their head so I can
Yeah,
feel it. Otherwise, just watching it, I'm watching a movie. I'm not inside their
right,
head.
right. Even third, though, I still have the same process. I'm still in them.
Mhm.
I'm just talking about them in third person. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
And
you can do it.
you know what's cool about Rania is when she does try the third person, sometimes she's so third that she is just watching it that she drops into omniscient and she even
Yeah,
shows what she's seeing and then this
mhm,
happened outside and the characters don't see it. So
right.
but I'm not saying it in a negative. She
Yeah.
actually goes back and says, "Oh my goodness," and fixes it.
That's
But
so tricky. That's
yeah,
I totally get it where you're suddenly like, yeah, like it's so hard where you're like, we can only see what this one character sees
yeah,
when you are observe, you know everything, right? But you got to make sure we only know what he knows or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. Well, if there's any final questions, I don't want to. She's got more signings and things to do today. I understand another book. You've
Going
got a
down
chapters
to
thing today, right?
Indigo Robson Street. Yeah. So I'm going
Yeah.
downtown on the train and I went to Pitt Meadows yesterday and did a little book,
Oh,
which was really fun. So yeah, it's a busy weekend of
good for
book,
you.
book chatting. Yeah, it's great.
All right. Well, I don't hear any other questions, so I'd be happy to sum it up. We
Sure.
really appreciate you dropping in and chatting with us. I loved hearing about your process, and always great to chat about the book.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for coming and thank you guys for having me and for recommending Strangers in the Villa. I appreciate it.
Of
Are
course.
you
Great.
coming down my way anytime soon?
Who's that?
That was Barbara.
Barbara in Chicago. I'm actually going to a festival in Pennsylvania. I know that's not your way, but
Oh,
it's called Haunt the Readers and it's in a haunted brewery. And I
Wow.
could
wow.
I know. And then I'm doing an event in New Jersey and an event in New York. And those are literally my first ever US events. I've
Well,
never,
if you come here, I'll pick you up from the airport and drive you around.
oh, now you're selling me on Chicago. I
you,
have
you
like a
should
3 hour layover.
you should come to New Orleans. New Orleans is a lot of fun.
Oh, I've heard, and they had BoucherCon in New Orleans a few years ago, and I really wanted to go, and I couldn't make it work. But
Debbie
yeah,
left a comment saying she was let me see, it says
Interesting to hear your
yep,
process.
interesting to hear your process. So that's a bonus to hear your
oh, great.
process.
I hope they make The Strangers in the Villa into a movie. I would love to see a movie on that. I mean,
I've
I
had
love
it.
the book and I could picture it all, but to actually see it on the big screen, I would love that.
I've had a
Okay.
couple calls already from producers, so we'll see.
Ooh,
It's yeah, so that's
that would
always
be awesome.
exciting.
Yeah.
I'm a little jaded in that area because I've had a lot of books optioned, and um, a lot of times nothing happens, but it's nice to hope, nice to have that possibility, right?
There
Yeah.
is a question. Do you have
Debbie's
to
asking
change
if you
your
have to change your
manuscript?
manuscript into a screenplay, but generally you don't do that, right? They
Yeah,
have
they don't.
they have showrunners for that.
Yeah, they have for TV, they have showrunners or screenwriters for film, and it used to be a little bit more you could move between, but we're very siloed now. The producers will hire a screenwriter, whereas apparently screenwriters, it's very hard for them to sell an original script. They always want a book first.
Mm.
Right? So they want to buy a book because you've got these really developed characters and you've got the plot and they want the IP, and then they hire a screenwriter. So I would be like a consultant or something, but not writing. Unless,
Yeah.
if you're really a big deal, you can sometimes demand that. Like Liz Moore wrote this amazing thriller called God of the Woods, and she is a co-showrunner on that show. But it was like a huge New York Times bestseller. She had like multiple bidders. So she's doing it, and it'll be a great show. So everybody should watch out for that one.
Definitely. Yeah. And definitely, I know James Patterson and Stephen King and some of those, like you said, a big
Yeah.
deal. They write some of their own for sure.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. At a certain level, you can do whatever you like, but at my
Then,
level, you just take what you can get.
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks. It was so great to see you guys and nice to meet you all.
Yep. Thanks for writing
Thanks.
another hit. We
Yeah.
can't wait for the next one.
Thanks, guys. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Thanks.
Appreciate
Bye.
it.